For now, though, what I want to make sure that we get to is this issue of how you get to a nation. Okay, so that's going to be one of our major themes. And I don't mean it teleologically, just to stress. I don't mean like why Ukraine had to be, because that's a terrible question. As soon as you're in the world of why a nation had to be, you've obliviated, you've eliminated, you've erased all human agency in the whole story, right? If I'm able to say right now, like from the pulpit, Ukraine had to exist, then we're removing everything which makes history interesting, right? But the human choices along the way people saw the circumstances they were in, what people thought was possible, what they thought they were doing, and what they sometimes even did, all that goes away. If I can say, oh, there had to be America, or there had to be Russia, or there had to be China, there didn't have to be any of these things. We can explain how they came into being, but what we can't say, and this is what Putin does, we can't say that it's predetermined. As soon as we say it's predetermined, this is no longer a history class. It's in some kind of, we're in some kind of exercise in, applied physics or something. Okay, but so there's a bad answer to why, to where history comes from, which is that things had to be the way they are. And that bad answer is closely related to this war. Because Putin gave that bad answer in July of 2021 when he wrote an incredibly long, for a politician, not long for you guys, an incredibly long essay about what he called On the Historical Unity of Russia and Ukraine. And his bad answer is that things are the way they are because they had to be this way, basically. Right? Russia and Ukraine have always been together, and if they're not together, that's the result of alien, non-historical forces. This is really important, by the way, because when a tyrant makes an argument about how history has to be, then some of the forces that are actually resident in history get classified as being ahistorical or non-historical or exotic or alien, right? So in Putin's telling of the story, all the Lithuanian stuff and all of the Polish stuff and all of the Jewish stuff, for that matter, all the things which aren't about Christianity or Russia are now suddenly exotic, alien, foreign. They're not really history. They're the things that have to be removed so that history can go the way that it's supposed to go. And that is precisely a rationale for war. In fact, it is the rationale for this war, because the argument for this war is that Ukrainians don't know who they really are because they've been polluted by all this Polish stuff or Lithuanian stuff or Habsburg stuff, or maybe laterally European Union stuff or American stuff. So you have to peel away all this artificial things to get down to who they really are. And they may not know who they really are, and that's tragic. And we have to apply enough violence so that they can understand who they really are, right? And once you're in that way of seeing things, then of course the war makes perfect sense to you, right? And so the way that history is presented has an integral connection with the decision to make a war, and also to the way that a war seems to make sense while it's going on, right? While it's going on to the people who are taking part of it. So the point is, though, that is not that we're going to start with this bad history because it's the right kind of history. The point is that the bad history, or what I would prefer to call the myth or the political memory, gives us an occasion to see how history might actually have been. It's a kind of, the bad history is a kind of invitation to what might actually be more interesting. Okay, so what's wrong with the idea, let me just open this up to you guys very quickly. What's wrong with, this is kind of a trick question, I'm sorry. What's wrong with an essay which is titled On the Historical Unity of Russia and Ukraine? Go for it.
There is no historical unity of Russia.
Okay, that's all right. I'll give you that, but I'm looking for, yes, okay. Why not? I mean, why not? Because you don't think so?
No, I think it's been forced. The unity has been forced.
Okay.
Naturally.
Okay, all right. I'm going for something more fundamental. Yeah?
Russia and Ukraine might not have existed in the way we talk about them.
Good. Okay, that's good. That's good. Russia and Ukraine as nations definitely didn't exist in the year 988, right? The nation is a modern historical construct characterized by the notion that you feel a kind of solidarity with people you don't know, That's Benedict Anderson, Imagined Community. It's a good argument that somebody else is American or Ukrainian or Chinese, and you think you have something in common with them even though you don't know them personally. That's the nation. The nation also involves at least a certain notion of equality. We may not be equal in every ways, but I'm not more American than you are, right? If you're American, we're at least notionally we're equal as members of a nation, right? That does not exist in the ancient world. It doesn't exist in the medieval world. So that's a good one. Now, can we go even deeper than that? All right, I'm gonna have to answer my own trick question. Yeah, go for it.
This might be a long shot, but like the statement itself is inherently contradictory because he's saying the unity, but he's also recognizing Ukraine's sovereignty by saying Russia and Ukraine as separate entities.
That's kind of where I'm going to give you extra credit points for that because I think you're right, and I think what I'm aiming for is the actual language of the statement, like the way that on the historical unity of Russia and Ukraine plays a certain trick. The trick is that if I begin a title with "on," the thing that's there is supposed to be real, right? So if the title is "on the historical unity of Russia and Ukraine," the trick is that, well, since it's on this, that thing must exist, right? If I write a book which says on quick chess strategies to defeat Garry Kasparov, then it's like that thing must exist, right? Even though it doesn't exist, right? But if I say on this thing, then it exists. And so that kind of language, the kind of implicit assertion of existence, is non-historical language. It's the language of legend, the language of myth. It's tricky language, which gets you thinking in terms of categories of eternity, categories of of durability, categories which isn't changed, things which don't change, which leads you to where Putin is, which his idea that some things are, as he says, predetermined, right? Which is a very strong word. His idea is that because there was a baptism in Kiev in 988, the rest of it is predetermined. And anything which doesn't go the way it's supposed to go is somehow exotic or foreign and has to be suppressed. And then historical unity, I'm going to make your point a little bit more strongly. It's not just that Russia and Ukraine, there's no such thing as historical unity, right? History is not about unity.